Now, by this point, you've probably seen a million different videos from streamers with settings that aren't for console, or you're loading up your console on Battlefield for the first time and are just completely confused by a million different settings. Then this is the video for you that's not going to leave you feeling completely confused. I'm wondering what the hell is going on with this settings menu. Is it a skill issue? Possibly, maybe not. That's probably what you've been told, but there's a lot of different settings that I think vary for console, at least from my experience playing on PlayStation versus if you were to be playing on PC. These are my settings, I hope it helps. So first things first, if we go into our controller settings, this particular part, your aim sensitivity, this is your main sense. This is particularly independent, I would say, to you personally and what you feel comfortable with. I personally play on 47.5 on here. I did originally start at 60, which felt normal to me when I was running around, but then when I ADS'd, it felt way too fast. And I'll go through that in a minute because there's a different setting that affects that. Yes, I know, it feels like you have to be Einstein to know these settings, and I'm not great with this stuff. I'm sure if you're here, you might not be great with this stuff either, or maybe just need a bit of help, but for me personally, I've now lowered it down to 47.5. I played on 8.8 on COD, if that references anything for you. It might not if you're just purely on Battlefield, but having come from COD, I played on 8.8. That's about right for me now. Now I've changed the rest of the settings. Field of view, you don't want to go above 110 on Battlefield, really. On the BR, I might go up slightly, but not all the way to 120, probably not on console, just because that can sometimes impact the aim assist, but we'll see how that goes. These two, I can't remember if one of them was set to 80 before and I've changed them to both be 56, but you need them to both be 56. Don't ask me why, it's just the sweet spot, but basically the vertical aim ratio, having them both the same number, when your crosshairs are going horizontally versus vertically, they go at the same speed. So you want them to both be at 56. Don't ask me why, I don't know why the number's 56, that is just the number, that is the number it should be on. Just keep them both the same if you want it to be at the same speed. I think that you should do that. It feels way better like that. I had one on 80 before and it didn't feel right. Now that they're both on the same, it feels much better. So yeah, run that as the same. This was the biggest part for me, having come from COD. Most of you have probably got this on. I would turn that straight off. Once somebody told me about turning this off, my whole experience on Battlefield completely changed, and it felt like I was playing a shooter like Call of Duty again. Now, there's a big thing with Call of Duty as to why this particular setting is really important to turn off. If you've played Call of Duty in the past, you'll find that when you're running around, whatever your sense is on your controller, so like I've got 47.5, or like I said on COD it was 8.8, when you're on ADS on your gun and you're just running around, your sense is the same when you're on ADS versus when you're aiming down your sight. So whenever you move left or right, it will always move at the same sense, no matter if you're aimed in, unless you've changed all the zoom values and all things like that. I'm not on about that. I'm just on about purely what your sense is whilst you're just moving around. That being off makes it so that it matches this. You need to have that off if you want that COD feel, because if you've got it on, it feels way more sluggish just moving side to side, which is why originally I had this on nearly 60 and had that on, and I still couldn't, it still felt clunky and not smooth. Turning that off will instantly make you feel more like you're playing COD again, and it feels so much smoother. I would massively recommend turning that off. You might find that then that's slightly too high. Adjust your sense to match it. I promise you that is a big thing. If you've come from Call of Duty and think it feels too sluggish, that will change it for you. That is why. I didn't realise, but yeah, that is why. I personally have left the inventory aim assist on 100. I'd recommend you don't touch that. Leave that as 100 if you're a controller player. This is the one that you want to turn down. You've probably found if you've played already, obviously you haven't if you load up the game for the first time, but this is important. When you're aiming in, all the players spawn in Battlefield around each other. They just click on their mate and they spawn back in. It's always been like that. This particular setting starts on 100. As soon as somebody else spawns in or runs across your screen somewhere else and you're trying to aim at one target, it will drag off to the other. It's awful. The aim assist is like way too strong. I don't know why it's like that off rip, but it's terrible. I've lowered mine down now to 62.5 and I find that to be perfect. You probably could lower that more. I haven't experimented going too much lower yet because that to me feels about right. Aim assist zoom snap is when you're actually ADS'd in, dragging across your target, trying to get those kind of micro aiming adjustments. That is starting on 100. You want to reduce that down to 75. I found that to be the perfect number to keep my aim snappy. Feeling, again, having come from COD, I'm going to keep referencing it. these two settings here make it feel more like dynamic aim assist on COD, which is probably what you've used in the past. It feels more like that for me. Every video under the sun that I've seen from people that are not playing on console recommends you put BF4 on these infantry curves, referencing Battlefield 4's aim assist. For me on console, I've played on the Battlefield 4 and I've played on standard. Standard feels way better to me on console. I've got multiple people that I play with that also on console, and they say the same thing, that standard feels better. If you're on console and you've watched all the previous settings and videos from other people and you're questioning why it still doesn't feel right to you, try standard with these settings. I promise you it will feel better on console. You also want to turn the aim left right acceleration completely off. I don't know why the hell that setting's even in. It feels terrible to me. Keep it completely off. You don't need it when you're on standard. Maybe on other settings you might need it, but on standard you do not need it. Turn it off. I'm going to go through some of my settings here in terms of my mapping. I've got mine set to custom. I would recommend you do that too, because there's a few things that you can change on the keybinds that will make it feel more like home to you if you've come from Call of Duty, or just to make your game feel like it's running more smooth in terms of keybinds. This is one that I didn't think of. Somebody told me the other day and I thought, Jesus, why didn't I think of that? It feels so simple. If you haven't already, you should be mapping your sprint button to just your analog stick moving forward. So if you see it's got an up arrow on the left stick, that literally now means that if I move my left stick forward, it will automatically sprint, and I don't have to press the stick down and hold my controller stick down the whole time when I want to sprint. That basically makes it like a tac sprint. That's the best piece of advice I could give you for if your thumb is hurting. Map that. It's way easier. You don't need to worry about anything else. If you do have issues when you're going through these keybind settings, by the way, this is an issue that I've noticed with console, at least it's something that I had. It doesn't always let you do the keybinds in the menu. If it's not allowing you to even press X into these boxes whilst you're on this main menu, you might be fine, you might not. If you can't do it whilst you're in the menu, you will be able to do it whilst you're in a game. I would recommend trying that if you're struggling. That was the way I got around it. Steady scope is when you're holding your breath and your sniper. I've kept that in true to my COD past and have pressed L3 for that one, so I would change that as well if that's what you're used to, but you can change it to whatever you like. That's just so you're holding your breath. I find that a lot easier. I play with vibration off because you just shouldn't have it on when you're playing an FPS shooter. You don't need that messing with your aim. This is a key thing for me, and also if you've got a custom controller. I have my center dead zone on 0 because I've got an aim controller. Shout out aim controller, shout out code SMSY if you want to look at your own and custom design your own. Great controllers, slight ad. But I've got TMR sticks. If you have TMR sticks or Hall effect sticks, they're anti-stick drift. If you've got dead zone in-game on your settings of anything below 0, you cannot get stick drift on these sticks. It messes with your sticks on your controller if you've got dead zone set within the game. You need to keep that as low as you can. My controller's fairly new. I know I've got no stick drift at all. At the very worst case, I would go up to 2 on this with TMR or Hall effect sticks. Realistically, by that point, you just shouldn't have that. It needs to be sent back to the company because you can't get stick drift on these. You shouldn't have any at any point. So you've probably got a big issue with your controller if you've got stick drift on them. But just bear that in mind. Axial dead zone I've turned down from 6 to 3 for the same reason. And then on your sticks, oh, so it's left and right. Sorry, you've got individual sticks. And then I've got the L2 and R2 dead zones both set at 0. Again, it's a relatively new controller. Those shouldn't have any stick drift at all. Drop a like and comment if this has helped you. If there's anything else that I can help you with, please leave a comment. I'll try and help you with it from the best experience that I can.